And good evening, people, and welcome to the part two installment of this P900 that looks as if it had actually bombed down into the sea. So I'm just going to try and adjust my microphone here. I hope you can still hear me, and just to get it out of the way. And we did start off with a shutter mechanism, and this was, you know, as I say, it was closed to begin with, so I wanted to have a look and see if it did work. So I'm just gonna, like I said, when I looked at this, you can separate these two plates by undoing this screw here and then popping the clamps there and there on this. I'm not sure if you can see that. Let's have a look, see if you can see that. Those little clips there. There's one there. There's one. Oh, he's gone away now. There's one there. Put aside that motor. And this cable here is, you know, you could pull that cable out, but I'll show you a photograph. I'll just bring a photograph across. This is for the screw that you need to take out, and you have to be very mindful of these two little soldered wires here. They are insulated, but they do supply a motor. And as you can see, the shutter assembly looks good. So I'll get rid of that one, and then I'll bring another photo across if I can find it. And I'll show you that. Yeah, I'll show you that cable now. Hopefully, it's not too bad. You see that cable, which is going straight into there. There's no clip on it. You just pull straight out. The good thing about this cable, if you do pull it out and put this assembly back together again, you can more or less get the cable aligned. And there's two little shoulder tabs there, and you get a good pair of tweezers and just make sure that they're actually pushed down. So it's not, but you can get away with it. That cable's there slightly bent because I didn't remove it. So not too major things. So I got a photograph of when I actually separated the yeah, a bit better quality photo. Yeah, it's a bit smaller, but you can see here I've taken off the screw there and I've just opened it up. And as you can see, the shutter is open now, so she did move. And there's this little pin inside here which you can slide backwards and forwards to open and close the shutter, and it's driven by the motor on above. And yep, so everything looks good, and the inside of that lens was quite clean. Well, the glass there was quite clean, so I put it all back together again, and job's a good one. And yeah, there we are. It's all very well, and this is obviously a spare one I've got because the original one is now back inside the assembly. And as you can see, I've got everything here uh, back in, and it's ready. It's ready. This thing's ready to go in. So keep it. Can actually come right out. You have to be mindful. I'll get rid of those. And it's all ready to go back in. And it's all cleaned up. And so ready for the lens to go in. I haven't put the lens in. Remember, my lens was in the pot there yesterday. Now, remember I said yesterday that I did have a problem with the screen and the surround wasn't working. Well, and what lies beneath now? What I did find is I decided to take off the screen. Now, I will say for a minute, whilst I'm here, this is the original cover that came off of the camera, and as you can see, it's all nicely cleaned up. And what I did do was I'm just going to get so it doesn't shine into the camera. I took this plate off. There's 6 screws here, 6 screws, and this assembly comes off. And then you have to be very mindful of these here. I did take off the little PCB, and again, the solder connections underneath are quite furry, so I cleaned them up. And once I took these out, I could then remove the buttons. Cleaned up when the button assemblies and inside the orifices once all the buttons were out, so that was all nice. The buttons won't stick, and they're all nice and springy. I can test them like that, all okay. And yeah, so but what actually happened is when I stripped off the cover for the and the mechanism there's actually a screw inside here. I'll see if I can show that. To actually remove the screen assembly, you need to pop this plastic bit here, which does pop up, A bit of a, there's not much gap to get in there to push it up. But then when you do that, you have to remove a bolt here. Sorry, bolt, a screw inside there. Let's see if I can show you that. Screw inside the screen. Or something. Can I see that? Hang on a sec. Please bear with me. Let's get the autofocus going. You can just about see that screw, but it's when you turn the display sideways. Anybody's got a P900 camera, they can see that screw there. So that comes off, and then once you get that plate off, you get access to another two bolts, which the mechanism comes off. Now I could sit here all night and tell you how to get this off without doing it, but basically it's again, it's not for the faint-hearted. You have to actually pull the cable all the way through the body, and what I'm going to show you is what I found, and it is a nightmare. It's a horror. Actually, I'm going to use a bit more light here. Hopefully that's not too bad, is it? I'm not sure if that is happy with that light there. Let's turn it off a minute. I think this would be good enough, to be honest. And let's get that light down to here, maybe. And let's see what we see now. Straight away. Okay, so there's a little bit you pull off. As you can see, it's all contaminated there. Get that inside, and you can see the back of the plate, which is what you look at here. It just has the Nikon on it. That sits in here, as it were. Yeah, so the screen sits inside this. As you can see, there's major water ingress into there. Well, that's going to be ditched, and this is the back. This is actually the actual back of the screen. This sits into. Well, just look at the state of that. Now, that's what the screen cables plug into. Now, the screen cables are on this assembly here. I'm going to show you this now. And that's the cable. Now, this cable, incidentally, is still good. And this is the mechanism that rotates here. So these are two, obviously, the struts here, which are secured to the board. And then the two screws which are inside the plastic display, inside here, the two you take off, the black ones. And this will actually, as if you open it out, so these will pop out like so. One is a sort of just loose to spin, but the other one's on a sort of like a ratchet, or you can only turn it so far and it clicks in, and then you can rotate, he says, like so. Look how rusty that is. It's absolutely disgusting. Look. Let's get the focus on that. Look how bad that is. So I thought, well, I could probably clean all this up at some point, and obviously the blue and the let's get the focus back in. The blue and the yellow wires actually do solder to this PCB, but there's 2 points here, and they're actually labeled YL and BL for blue and yellow. Let's see if you can see that. Oh, get it this way around. That might be better and sort the focus out. There we go. You just see YL and BL, and the two connectors here and here are off of the cable. And I'm going to show you now these two here. So you have this one, and then the screen from here plugs into the longer one. All right, that one, and then the smaller one fits into the side. That's where the screen goes. The actual screen itself goes into here, and the small thin one goes into there. But just look at the state of this. It's absolutely garbaged. It just looks like it's come from the Titanic or something, doesn't it? You know, it's come up from the depths, as it were. So I wouldn't even bother to even try and use this again. Not on your Nelly. So it needed to come out. And needless to say, I did have a spare screen, and what I do have also, which I didn't use because I wanted to use the whole screen assembly, I do have a complete decent screen here. So this is a replacement. So this is, if you order a replacement screen for a P9, don't be put off when you see this is what comes, because you have to disassemble this assembly to actually get it in. And it makes it obvious when you see this board how it all connects into here, you see. Well, maybe that way around, CJ. Yes, there. And then the loom, which goes into your camera and then onto the main board, feeds through the back of the camera, and this is the end which you put on when you put the back cover back onto the main body. And there you are. So this thing will allow it to swivel with the cable to turn. It's a neat little umbilical, really, the way they've routed it through there, and it takes a lot of turns, and it's not really turning that much. So that's quite nice. I like that. But needless to say, it's all rusted, and I won't be using it now. The button mechanism on here, I stripped this off, and it's absolutely clean as a whistle. Perhaps I can do a bit more clean inside there, but yeah, this is fine. All works fine. There's nothing that's perfect. It's lovely, and all the buttons are fine. And it returned the zoom returns fine, so that is good. I'm not too bothered with that. I'm going to put my other spare one away. And for now, so what needs to happen is I haven't cleaned out the sensor array yet. I want to take the sensor array off and just clean up the housing, and then I'm going to put this back on. And what might be worthwhile doing is when these cables go back on, you have to feed these back through these. As you can see, I haven't cleaned this up yet, so I'm going to take the CCD array off, clean all this up, and now incidentally inside here, I'm going to get the camera just to show you when the camera zooms home. You'll be able to see this, he says. I'm not sure. Not sure if you can see that. Maybe if I zoom out a bit more. Blast. Let's bring him out. If I can point it out, it's very hard to see. What if I bring that light over here? That's a bit better, he says. No, nope, still a bit dark. If I bring it to there. What I'm trying to point out is if you have a look at these, on the worm drive of the gearbox here, you'll see a little flag which turns there, and it's basically the little flag is going through a sensor, and what it does is it breaks this sensor by doing this, you see. So if I do that, it comes down and breaks the sensor, and what the electronics has got to see is got to see the sensor in here pulsing, and if that sensor stops coming to the electronics board from the main body, it will actually think that it's jammed and will stop the power on the motor. One, saving it overheating the motor and damaging, and also draining all the power from the battery. So it does it very quickly. So even if you had a slight jam in your camera, it'll stop and kick out a lens error because it's not receiving the continual signal from this opto, which has been which it needs to see a train of pulses. Unless you physically stop it, then it knows not to expect it. So it's a safety mechanism. And I guess on this it needs to be cleaned as well. I'm not sure the status of it. I'm hoping that it's good. But if not, I can always swap this over for another part I've got. And I've got another one of these. But the trial is to get this working with this one. And not to give up a known good spare when I know this will work, and I want to make sure it gets in, especially as the CCD array is good, and yeah, it's all intact. So the next step is part 3, is get all this cleaned up, put it back in, and start reassembling the body back into the main camera, or get the electronics all cleaned up and then put that back in also. And like some of this stuff is still all furry, so I need to get all that resolved. And yeah, so I'm going to leave it there for now, and not make this video too long, but make it short and sweet. And just to reiterate that this lens mechanism, ding, 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 It's pretty bad. Look at that. Look at that. I've never seen one like that before. But then again, all right, bits falling off. It's rusted completely out and out. There we go, as the Canadians would say. It's all come out. And yeah, this one might be able to salvage that board. I'm sure that it's not too bad, but who knows? Right, thank you very much for watching, and that's the plate which goes on the other side. A bit rusted, and I put a new one of those in also. Yeah, so look out for part 3. Thanks very much. Thanks awfully for watching, and I'll catch you soon. Bye now.